Hey guys, it is Sophie from Gains by Brains and welcome to this how to grow your booty video. In this video I will be showing you everything that you need to know if you want to grow your booty, from activation to compounds to isolation and to burnout exercises. But before I start showing you that all, I just quickly wanted to ask you to please give this video a like if you like it, or if you think that you will like it, to leave a comment down below and to subscribe to my channel so you will never miss any of the uploads ever again. I'm also very happy to announce that I am now able to offer you guys a 10% discount code on all the products of Woman's Best. So if you are looking for supplements and you want to try out Woman's Best products, then you can use the discount code Gains by Brains at the checkout to get 10% off your order. As always, I will put all the information in the description box down below. So if you're looking for online coaching programs and you're interested in the coaching programs that I offer, then you can click the link in my description box, as it will redirect you to my website where you can find all the information. So without further ado, let's move on to how you can grow your booty. Really hope that you enjoy watching this video. Let's talk about how to grow the booty. As always, you want to start with a warm-up because we don't want injuries here. I like to start with 5 to 10 minutes on the Stairmasters or on the stationary bike whenever I am training my lower body, and then I move on to dynamic stretching, which I did not record. I always start with some activation exercises. I've noticed that this makes a really big difference in building my glutes. The goal of activation exercises is basically to wake up a certain muscle or a certain muscle group, because sometimes it's hard to get the right muscles to work because other muscles are taking over and doing more of the work. For example, when you sit all day, your glutes can become quite weak, and the result is that they're not activated whenever they should be, for example when you are doing squats or deadlifts. So that is why I always start with some simple activation exercises. These are not done with a lot of weight. You just really want to focus on feeling the correct muscles working, because we are talking mind-muscle connection here. Some of the activation exercises that I really like to include are banded squats, banded glute bridges, side laying abduction and donkey kickbacks. I like to throw in resistance bands because it really helps me with feeling my glutes. And I perform each exercise 10 to 15 times with a few seconds hold, because that really helps me with building the mind-muscle connection. After my glutes are activated properly, we want to move on to the compound exercises. I usually include 2 compound lifts, one hip extension exercise that mimics vertical jumping. So this is a vertical movement as the squat, the deadlift or the lunge. And I like to include one hip extension exercise that mimics sprinting, which is a horizontal movement as the hip thrust. In this footage I am starting with the hip thrust, which is my favorite glute building exercise. I start with 2 warm-up sets of 10 reps each, and then I perform 4 sets of 10 to 12 reps. I got 12 reps in the first 3 sets that I performed, and I got 10 reps in the 4th set. This means that I am really trying to go for 4 sets of 12 reps next week, so that I am progressively overloading my muscles. Because if you want to build muscles, then you need to make sure that you keep progressively overloading them. This means that you keep making sure that they are working harder and harder than they are used to, because this forces them to grow. If I am able to get the 4 sets of 12 reps with proper form, then I will increase the weights the workout after that, and I will decrease my reps. For the hip thrust, you want to make sure that the center of the bar is placed directly above you, because otherwise the bar will tilt. You want to focus on pushing through your heels and squeezing your glutes at the top of the movement, and you want to pause for a second. Always make sure that your chin is tucked in during the movement, and you want to keep your feet shoulders width apart and directly below your knees. You were 2 years older, I was taking the lead while I sat in the backseat.
pass out in the backseat.
The next compound movement is the hip extension exercise that mimics vertical jumping, and this is the Bulgarian split squat. I like performing this exercise in the Smith machine as it really helps me with my balance, which allows me to lift heavier. This exercise is very challenging, or at least I find it very challenging. And the same as with the hip thrust, I perform 4 sets of 10 to 12 reps. You want to start with your weakest leg, if you have one, so that you will keep the intensity of both legs the same, which allows your weakest leg to catch up with your stronger leg. Foot placement can be quite difficult with this movement, so if you found the perfect foot placement, then I would suggest putting a small plate in front of your foot, because then you know exactly where it needs to be every set. For this exercise, you want to stay pretty much upright, but in such a way that your spine is in a neutral position.
I hold on to this storm 'cause I need to be swept away, swept away. I'm cornered in the cold where you left me.
After the 2 compound movements, it is time to move on to the isolation work. For the isolation, I like to include an abduction movement. And when performing isolation work, I want my average rep range to be a little bit higher compared to the average rep range of my compound exercises, which is why I perform each isolation exercise for 3 sets of 15 reps. After the hip abduction, I like to throw in a superset of cable pull-throughs with cable kickbacks. You want to start with the cable pull-through and then immediately move on to the cable kickbacks. And after you are done with the first superset, you want to take a short break of around 30 seconds. You want to repeat this superset 3 times in total. For the cable pull-through, I set the pulley low on the cable machine and I use the rope as this makes it way easier to pull through your legs. You want to inhale and hinge at the hips, so really push your hips back while keeping a straight back, and then you push through your hips so that you stand up straight again. All the motion should come from the hips, so don't use your shoulders or arms to pull, and as always you want to squeeze the glutes. Then we superset this with cable kickbacks. A superset is when you perform 2 exercises back to back with no rest in between. For the kickback, I like to be elevated so that I can keep my legs straight while performing the movement, and this allows me to fully use my glutes for this exercise. Keep your back parallel to the floor, and when you feel your glute burning of the leg that is standing on the floor, you want to shift your weight towards your toes instead of your heel. This will make a very big difference. After I performed 15 reps of one leg, I switched to the other leg. After the activation, the compounds and the isolation, I like to finish my glute session with burnout exercises. I like to perform them with no to low weight and high volume so that you will really feel the burn in your glutes. I did banded glute bridges and single leg hip thrust. So that was my video on how you can grow your booty. I really hope that it helps you out and that you enjoyed watching it, and that I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!